Hi, and welcome back. Figured I'd do another YouTube video since it's been a while. It's time to talk about the economy and the future. Now, I know everybody's terrified of automation, and then others aren't. They compare it to the start of the computer age where everybody was afraid computers were going to take all our jobs, but all it ended up with was, more computer jobs and that sort of thing. But it's definitely different. I mean, just think of all the truck drivers in the country right now and what's going to happen when none of them have work. Or think about, if one machine can take 20 jobs and one person can repair 20 machines, then how are there going to be jobs for everybody repairing those machines that gets put out of work? I mean, that's kind of basic, pretty simple math. I mean, yeah, there's other jobs that are going to pop up, but needless to say, as automation increases, jobs are going to naturally decrease, and that's the ultimate purpose of technology. The ultimate purpose of technology is less work for humans. So humans can do other things that they want to do. Pursue interests and goals, explore science, creativity, arts, and shit. That's kind of the dream. I mean, that's fucking Star Trek times right there. All your needs are met, and you can just focus on, pursuing your passions and your dreams. It's nothing to be afraid of. What is to be afraid of is we need to adjust our economy accordingly. We can't base everything on labor hours anymore. I mean, our society's in a weird place where a person's value is determined by their skill sets and labor hours they can work rather than just as a human being. And, we need to shift away from that. We need to figure out a way to make sure that everybody's needs can be met, even if they can't work. And, I had actually talked about this on my site, Panda Gravy, before Andrew Yang even popped up. The universal basic income. Although I do appreciate that thanks to him, there's actually a name for it. I forget what I called it, but it's so basically it's about like Andrew Yang's plan of the freedom dividend, where he sends every American $1,000 a month, which frankly it's fucking awesome that it's even out there in popular thought right now. I mean, I don't know if he's going to get enough support to win the Democratic primary. I hope he does, but even if he doesn't, at least the idea is out there and it's gaining some kind of momentum. And a lot of people try to say, oh, that's socialism. That's not socialism. That's, basically, socialism is if the means of production is publicly owned instead of privately owned. That's not what socialism is. That's simply an incredible social safety net. And here's the interesting angle I haven't seen approached on a universal income is the whole point of a minimum wage is to make sure that everybody that's working is getting enough money to survive on. Basically, enough money to pay their bills and live off of, and, not have to worry about, being on the street while working a full time job. But if you had a way to make sure everybody had a guaranteed income, you wouldn't have to have a minimum wage. So all the people that are against raising the minimum wage because they want a market driven, wages, you know, all those people would be like stoked about it because then the wages would be completely market driven because the need of the wages to be enough to survive isn't there because those needs are already met. So then, people are working not to survive, but to get the extra things they like. People are going to be more willing to risk, you know, not having their job anymore and starting their own business because they're not coming at it from the mentality of, if I stop doing this and my plan fails, then I'm homeless. Instead, they're going to be at it from the mentality of, I have this as a backup so I can try this new thing, and so just the shift in mentality is going to be huge. And then also, if you think about it, that immediately eliminates poverty. A universal basic income immediately eliminates, well, I mean, maybe not all poverty. There's still going to be poor people. There's still going to be people that only get that basic income, but it'll definitely eliminate things like homelessness, you know. I mean, every homeless person on the street now has enough money to get a cheap apartment and, survive, from month to month. So, that's definitely a good thing. There are a few things about Yang's plan that I would do differently, but just the thought that he's trying to bring it to the forefront, that's good enough. That's a place to start from. I would also say we need to definitely work on our tax code. And, he wants to go at it with a value added tax for things that are produced by automation. I don't think that's the way to go. I think our tax system is overly complicated as fuck. Seriously, there is no reason to overly complicate something so much. It would be so much more simple, so much easier to understand, and so much easier to manage if you just simply did a flat tax. Like whoever you are, whatever economic status you are, any amount of money you make that's not that universal basic income, a portion of that money goes back to the government for taxes, to be used for providing government services. Now, if you did a flat tax, across everybody evenly, you wouldn't have people saying that, oh, they're just wanting to punish billionaires, oh, they're just wanting to, you know, take everybody else's money to that they worked hard for blah blah blah, whatever. You wouldn't have that because everybody would be taxed evenly. And it would also, I mean, think of all the organizations that are like multi-billion-dollar organizations that pay nothing in taxes. It's fucking ridiculous. With more overcomplication comes more loopholes and more lawyers and more fucking, you know, accountants finding ways to get away with not paying the taxes. And you get companies that are multi-billion dollar organizations that pay nothing. And I'm not just talking about Amazon, and companies like that. I'm talking about, like, look at the NFL. They exploit a tax loophole that was originally designed for fucking little league teams so that they'd be able to more easily afford uniforms and shit. And they exploit that, and they're a multi-billion dollar organization that is tax exempt. Seriously. Like, all the major sports leagues, like NFL, NBA, all of them are completely tax exempt as nonprofit organizations. Now, just think about that for a minute. Billions and billions of dollars every year for playing a game, and it's somehow a nonprofit organization. So, the money's out there, the revenue's out there. You don't need to create new kinds of taxes when you can just do a simple flat tax on everybody's income evenly, and that takes care of that problem. And then, you know, the whole system needs to be just completely overhauled. Like, so much of the money for all the various benefit programs is spent on the various agencies distributing all of that money. And if you take all of the aid countries in the program, I did the math like a while back. If you take all of the various aid programs that the US gives to poor people that need it, you would result in enough money to give every single adult in this country $10,000 a year, you know? And actually, I think it was a little bit more than $10,000 a year. So we're already spending $10,000 a year for every adult person in this country, yet the average benefits received by the poor people is very much less than $10,000 a year. So where the fuck is the rest of that money going? You kind of have to ask yourself that. And I'll tell you, it's getting funneled through private contracts, agencies that manage the money. I mean, like the social services in Buncombe County, they have a brand new building. They have tons of brand new computers and equipment and like big screen TVs on the wall for no purpose other than displaying numbers. Why the fuck do you need a 4K HD TV to display ticket numbers? I mean, just the sheer volume of government waste, and they have to have these huge, massive buildings that have to have incredible heating and cooling costs, and they have, people whose whole job it is to take a letter or a form or paperwork and move it from one box, stamp it, and put it in somebody else's box. And then that person stamps it and puts it in somebody else's box. I mean, you have multiple people getting paid like what, 30, $40,000 a year, and they do absolutely nothing except move papers back and forth. Meanwhile, you could accomplish the same exact thing with, a computer spreadsheet and, a guy. That's it. I mean, half the job of the social services building, like one or two people could probably do, and they'd probably do it more efficiently. Except they have to interrogate, they have to grill everybody, they have to treat everybody like they're gaming the system, and that takes up a lot of resources. And then, by the end of the day, wouldn't it be so much simpler to just give everybody money that they need to survive every month? And then that way you wouldn't have to interrogate somebody to see if they qualify. You wouldn't have to check to make sure they're not trying to slightly fudge the numbers so they get an extra few dollars worth of food every month, And so, it's more than just creating the universal basic income, and it's more than just creating a flat tax. We've got to completely overhaul the system. You know, just the money we're spending right now would pretty much cover most of that universal income, and then the flat tax, the revenue that came in from that would cover the rest. And then, combine it with other ways that the government could save money, like, decriminalizing, drugs and legalizing anything that grows, and then taxing everything that's been legalized that grows, which would also kind of totally cripple the drug cartels. But that's for a different video. I've got a big thing I'm going to talk about on that later. But then also, the immigration thing I was talking about, where basically instead of spending billions of dollars to enforce immigration, you basically give everybody the opportunity, turn yourself in as being here illegally. You can stay here legally, and you can pay a penalty tax out of every paycheck for the next X number of years. And so instead of spending billions to enforce, you've just started bringing in revenue, you know, from the extra taxes these people are paying, and you've also, taken away the anonymity that is, used by people that actually do have bad intentions, that want to, exploit that anonymity of being illegal and not trackable because they don't have IDs and that sort of thing. I mean, there's not just one single thing to do to fix everything. There are so many different things that need to all be overhauled at once, but the universal income is a huge part of it. Like I heard Andrew Yang talking, and he actually put it way better than I could about, the mentality of scarcity. When you're coming at things from the perspective of scarcity, you're not going to take risks. You're not going to, spend money, frivolously. You're not going to be as willing to start your own businesses. And so, you combine a universal basic income, a flat tax rate, get rid of the minimum wage. That makes the businesses happy, you know. Um, but I guess that's enough for this video because I don't want to make it too long because they take forever to upload. But I'll probably make another follow-up video later on and talk about this more.